The Hero and the Wolf, Chapter 2. The young girl woke to the sounds of birds. She moaned and opened her eyes, expecting to be in her room. Instead, she found herself in a forest. She quickly sat up and looked around her. "So you're finally up," a voice called from behind her. She spun around to see a man leaning against a tree, gazing at her with mild interest. "Where am I?" Fowlin asked frantically. He laughed and said, "You're a long way from home, girl." She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Home? That word holds no meaning to me." His red eyes sparkled with interest. "Oh, really?" he asked, moving from the tree towards her. "Care to explain why?" The girl stood up and stated, "Why the hell should I tell you?" The man approached her slowly with a lustful look in his eyes. She noticed and started backing up. "Hey, what are you doing?" she exclaimed fearfully as her back touched a tree behind her. He didn't answer, and soon enough he was standing above her. Suddenly, he grabbed her roughly and kissed her. "Oof!" She struggled, trying to get away from him. Fowlin soon felt his tongue slip inside her mouth, investigating every crevice. She pulled away and forced him off her, running as soon as she could. The man slid out of the shadows in front of her. He grabbed her wrist and forced her to the ground, pinning her in place with his waist. He pinned her wrist down with one hand while he fumbled with her jeans with the other. Her emerald-green eyes widened as she realized what he intended to do. The young girl filled her lungs with air and screamed as loudly as she could, her fear-filled voice echoing through the forest and into the lands beyond. A hand came up and clamped her mouth shut. "Shut up!" the man hissed. She soon realized that he let her wrist go. She slapped him as hard as she could, knocking him off her and stunning him. She quickly jumped up and ran again, this time towards the sparse support of the forest. She burst out of the forest and into a vast green field. She kept running, hearing him hot on her heels. She glanced back and realized he was gaining ground. Changing her course, she doubled back and ran across the tree line. He guessed her plans and soon was getting closer to her running figure. "Yeah!" he yelled, jumping and catching hold of something close to her backside. She yelped in pain and doubled her speed, again wrenching from his grasp. Suddenly she heard the sound of a horse trotting in the distance. How she heard it she didn't know, but she screamed again as the dark man finally caught up and tackled her. She heard a distant "Yeah!" coming from the direction of the horse. The man apparently didn't notice. He licked his lips and whispered, "Now, where were we?" She struggled again as the hoofbeats got louder. She glanced up and saw a man identical to the one trying to rape her, except he had dirty blonde hair, a green tunic and cap, a sealed sword, and the bluest eyes she has ever seen, riding a beautiful reddish mare. Their eyes met, and he saw fear and confusion in her eyes. The green man immediately drew his sword and jumped off the horse. The man got off her and drew his sword, saying, Link, can't you see? I'm a bit busy here." The green man, Link, glanced at Fowlin and replied, "It seems to me that you're trying to rape her, Dark, judging by her screams." The man, apparently Dark, chuckled before whispering, "How is it that you're always correct?" Dark lunged at Link, who blocked the attack. Fowlin tried to crawl into the trees before she thudded to the ground, her arms giving out from exhaustion. She flipped herself over and scuttled behind a tree and watched the fight fearfully. Finally, Link was declared the winner by spinning in a circle and stabbed Dark in the stomach. Dark slid himself off the blade and grinned. "This is not over. I'll come back for both of you," he shouted before disappearing to who knows where. Link sheathed his sword and approached the scared young girl. Fowlin's POV. The green man, Link, slowly approached me. I squeaked in terror and tried to slide myself deeper into the forest, only to feel sharp pain near my backside. "Shh, don't worry, I won't hurt you," Link soothed, coming nearer every passing second. Soon he was kneeling next to me. "Are you all right?" he asked, concerned. I stared into his bright blue eyes, feeling myself become calmer. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. He smiled gently at me and said, "That's good. What's your name?" Feeling myself become shy, I stuttered, "I'm Fowlin." My cheeks went red after I spoke. His eyes drifted to something on my head. "Are you from around here?" Link asked. Shaking my head, I replied, "No, I guess I was kidnapped by that dude you were fighting against." He looked alarmed. "What are you?" I was a bit annoyed by that question. "What do you mean? I'm human." He pointed to my hair and asked, "Do humans have ears on top of their heads like an animal?" I raised an eyebrow and replied, "No, why?" He looked confused. Then why do you have ears and a tail?" Reaching up, I searched my hair until I encountered something warm and fuzzy. Upon further investigation, I realized Link wasn't joking. I did have ears resembling a wolf's ears sitting on top of my head. "Oh, please, goddess, no!" I thought as I looked towards my backside. Sure enough, there was a fluffy, silvery, black, bluish tail poking out of my jeans. I resisted the urge to scream as soon as I saw it. Link saw I was freaking out. "I can take you to the castle and find a way to turn you back to normal, okay?" I nodded and gave my tail an experimental twitch. I swished my new tail across the dead leaves, creating a swooshing sound. A grin sped across my features. "Cool," I thought, standing up. I also noticed my fingernails were replaced by wolf-like claws. Looking around, I saw Link beside that mare I saw him on earlier. Link looked towards me and waved for me to come over. I did, walking cautiously. When I reached them, Link gestured to the horse and said, "Fowlin, meet Epona, my horse and faithful companion." Smiling, I petted the horse on the nose. Link hoisted himself up onto the horse and helped me on behind him. Wrapping my arms around his waist, I noticed his ears had gone a bit pink. I smirked and held on tight as Epona reared and took off towards the castle.